What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with another video. And today we are doing something very special. We're going to be doing a quarterback rankings for the 2022 NFL draft. Wanted to wait till after the playoffs ended just to be able to get this out for you guys because honestly, I'm very excited for it. I put a lot of work into it. And if you guys like videos like this, I make them every single day. So drop a like, comment, subscribe, do all that jazz. Let's kick into this and let's see who the best quarterback in this class is, because this is one that is not as good as the year before, at least at the time of being able to study it. We don't know, obviously, how these guys are going to pan out. We didn't know how there's going to be some struggles in the 2021 class, but still, this class has a lot more questions and a lot more variability on who's going to be quarterback one, who's QB2. And that's what makes this fun. So if you guys do enjoy this stuff, of course, stick around because we're going to be talking about each and every one, because I'm sure my list is going to vary from almost everybody else's. Without further ado, let's kick into this. Starting off with my number one quarterback, that's going to be Sam Howell right here. Hopefully you guys like the graphics and stuff. I tried to make it a little bit better this time. You know, Sam Howell he got a lot of hate this year, which is weird. Just a really off season, but people don't attribute it to the fact that he lost his 4 top weapons and he has a crap offensive line. So, you know, I think that when you take that into account, you watch his throws. I mean, Mike Renner just posted, I think a day ago, a video of Sam making a 33 or 38 yard back shoulder pass. That was perfect, right? Like on the money, which was, in fact, if you look at the actual distance, 50 yards, 50-yard perfect spot. He has some great arm strength. And when you see how he consistently puts the ball in the right spot, that's something not many quarterbacks in this class have. So that's a big, big, big plus to Sam Howell right there. And he does just kind of know the timing of when to throw, when to escape. And that is perfect. Again, he keeps a wide base. It's nothing that's like weirdly mechanically flawed, but he is in a weird scheme. That scheme does kind of pull his eyes to usually one target, but you do get to see he does go through progressions from time to time. So he has it in him. He's just in a very non-conducive NFL scheme. And again, sometimes when he does make an inconsistent read, that's what costs his team. Giving you guys a little bit of a key to what goes down here in the bottom left of your screen down here. We have a draft projection. That's where I think he's going to go, because my draft grade is something about me. This is what I graded him at. And people might say, holy shit, that's not a very good grade. I would disagree. I grade on a very harsh scale. So I have it be pretty much 5 out of 10. So 50 out of 100 is an average player, because I think that average players and below don't really make a difference in the NFL, but it's the special ones that need to separate themselves from the good and great prospects. So, you know, when I look at this, this is a very solid grade, easily worth a first round pick. So, you know, I think Sam Howell is by far the QB1 of this class for most teams that are looking for him. Just, again, he even has some good athleticism, very versatile. You see how when he's able to play with his run game, it can kind of like take over when he's not being able to pass so well. So I think that being able to swap your game and be able to evolve it as the game goes on is it's a very special trait, and something that someone like Baker Mayfield, who Sam Howell's comp to, can't do. He can't, but he can. Sam Howell can definitely overcome issues like that. Let's go into my number 2 QB. That's going to be Malik Willis. That's going to be the hot take. You know, Malik was my QB1 until I started doing these tape dives. And again, you look at the grade, 3 points off. Okay, that could be, I'm pretty sure that might just be in mechanics alone. But Malik has a cannon of an arm. His offensive line's terrible. His weapons aren't even bueno at all. So when you look at it, Malik is one-man armying a team that he can't himself take control of. Like he does everything he can, but he can't fully do what he needs to do. He's one of the few players that I think is going to have a better NFL career than he does college. So I have him comped to Deshaun Watson. Might be a Deshaun Watson minus. Obviously, you know, Deshaun Watson's definitely a very, very, very talented quarterback. But when you see the arm strength, when you see how he's able to put the ball right on target, and then do I need to talk about his running ability? The guy's insane. He's just able to make plays himself. That's what I really like about it. And unfortunately, yeah, progressions, he doesn't always go through them. That's a little bit of an issue. And that's what caused, because I watched the Ole Miss game. That was the first game I watched Malik Willis in depth because I wanted to see why he failed before I saw why he succeeded. So, like, when you saw these late reads throwing and not seeing the safety, yeah, those are some problems. But again, he's forcing the ball because one, his receivers can't get separation. And two, his offensive line's crap. He got sacked a billion times that game. So even if he created 3 of those sacks, he still got sacked 6 times because of his offensive line. If we're talking about Carson Wentz getting an excuse for losing to the Jags after getting sacked 6 times, can't really like not point the finger towards the offensive line for Malik Willis's instance. But again, he does have some mechanical issues when you watch how he throws. Again, that's really easily tweakable. He's doing that right now. He's working with quarterback coaches. And as long as he gets comfortable with the timing, just sit there, know when to throw the ball, know when to scramble, that's going to be perfect for him. Again, I think he's going to go in the mid to late first. I don't think he's going to be the first quarterback off the board, but to me, I think he should be in that top 15 conversation right now, because when you see how raw this guy is and you see the stuff that you can't change, you're having a very solid prospect with an abnormally high ceiling. Big fan of Malik Willis. Number 3 is going to be Matt Corral. Even after the injury, it's fluctuating. Number 3 and 4 are very close. Yeah, you can kill me about Kenny Pickett. I already know it's coming. But, with Matt, former Oaks Christian Lion, he is somebody, he has one hell of a drive. Like, this guy wants to win. He wants to make his team proud. He kicks ass, right? He's a very good competitor. He has a crazy arm strength. He threw a 67-yard ball, wasn't on target. Mike Renner, and I'm just giving this guy a shout out because he's honestly very smart guy and somebody who you guys have probably all seen. He posted a trend of, or like a little Twitter feed of the longest throw of each quarterback. And when you saw Matt, it's like he's 6'1", throwing a 67-yard deep ball, way off target. So that's something that I have a little bit of an issue with. But when you see he has that arm strength for him, but he's able to run really fast. He was able to compete with John Rice Plumlee, who might even be in that 4-4, 4-3 conversation. And he has perfect mechanics. He's been going to these quarterback camps since he was in middle school, for fuck's sake, right? Like, Jordan Palmer's worked with this guy year after year after year, which not many guys get to actually say that they get to do. And, he actually does go through his progressions. He has a lackluster receiving core this year. Jerrion Ealy, I'm not a huge fan of. I think Snoop Connor is actually pretty badass, though. So he doesn't have that much support. I will say this, his offensive line played phenomenally. That's something I am a bit worried about. Something I didn't put in here is that he had a very good offensive line. So we might see a little bit of a regression from Matt in terms of his safety with the ball, just because he's going to be getting pressured in the NFL. But again, something you guys got to watch this Tennessee-Alabama game. The placement where he puts the ball can be very inconsistent. He could throw it very behind, way out in front. There are games where he is just on the money. So that at least is a positive. But he also forces balls. That's something I'm not a huge fan of. Again, Ole Miss usually is more one read than anything. Again, it's kind of weird, right? Put progressions and reads. Matt goes out of the system to go through progressions and stuff, because usually Ole Miss is pretty damn good with scheming up the right play. But again, Matt, he's able to do stuff on his own. He's a smart kid. But again, injuries, that's the big one. That's the hugest one for me, because again, we don't need to talk about it, but even though the tests were negative, he's continuing to get injured over and over and over again. When you're not able to play, that's hard to say you're going to be a franchise quarterback when you're not on the field. So I think that's going to be a big question going into the offseason is, well, is it worth potentially dealing with a quarterback that might not be there for a couple games a year? That's up in the air. In timing, so Matt does like to stand in the pocket quite a bit. I do wish he threw the ball on time. I wish he did run on time a bit better. But again, I think he's Taylor Heineke, but a bit better. So for a team like Washington, where you need just a better version of your quarterback to do something successful, this might be the guy for you. Honestly, I know you guys aren't a huge fan of that. You'd rather have Malik Willis and stuff, but again, don't listen. People try to say in the comment section that our head coach already looks like he's saying that he wants Malik Willis. He hasn't seen Malik Willis. None of these guys have seen these quarterbacks yet. They really haven't. They have a couple scouts that went out for a game or two to watch them, like the Liberty Ole Miss game. That was obviously a pretty big one. You know, they don't actually start really diving into the tape until probably March because they're looking at free agents and looking at all that stuff. So, and that's coming from me where I've been told this by guys who are in NFL offices. They just don't dive into the tape during the regular season because they want to win games in the regular season. But Matt Corral is phenomenal. Kenny Pickett's next. I don't know why I didn't put a blue situation here for a secondary color for Pitt, but enjoy the bright screen for while it lasts. But still, Kenny Pickett, I have some very big issues with Kenny Pickett. He has some phenomenal traits to him, right? Like he is very NFL ready. He can run really well. And when you see him on the move, like he has Mahomes-esque like accuracy when he's doing crossbody. So that's very positive. And he does go through his progressions. I do like that. But again, I'm not a huge fan with his reads. I'm not. Like a lot of times he does force the ball, which is again, contradictory to progressions. I'm saying that he does do them at least. There's guys like, Trevor Lawrence always forced the ball. He always did. That was something I had a very big issue with is he was very late to his second read. Again, I think, there's just inconsistencies here. Again, inconsistent placement. It's not accuracy that you're talking about when you're talking about placement. Accuracy is, can you get your guy to catch the ball? Placement is, where do you put the ball when you throw it to them? And there is an element of receiver in that. So it can't always be on the quarterback, but there are times where you throw the ball behind, you throw the ball too high, and that causes some very big mistakes. And honestly, I would like to switch reads here for decision-making. The more I think about it, when you look at it, he makes some very poor plays and gets bailed out a lot. I don't think that you guys have seen all the plays where it should have been intercepted, or it's like, what the hell are you doing, man? Like you miss a guy who's wide open or something like that. Just, there are some really head scratching things on tape where it's like, you should be getting past this as a redshirt senior. And this is a big issue of mine. This is my big Kenny Pickett thing. So when he scrambles, I saw probably 30 scrambles to the right. He always likes to scramble. I don't know why. He doesn't like the pocket. He scrambles to the right, and he always scrambles with the ball down at his hip. If any edge defender sees that, they're going to start smiling very wide because that is called a strip sack. All day, every day, strip sack. So it's like, those are tendencies you can fix, right? You can with experience, get better with making stupid decisions in your 2-minute drill, or you can tuck the ball higher when you run, or you can get comfortable rolling out left. There are things you can change. That's why I think he's going to go top 12. And I think he is Derek Carr. I do. He's somebody with a couple years of development, could end up being a pretty impactful player. Again, I'm not that confident in him. And when you look at the draft grade, it's higher than Matt Corral's. So technically he's graded as my QB3, but that's going to be my 2-piece on it. Kenny Pickett, he provides a lot of good things, but at the same time, you got to realize he's a redshirt senior and he still has some pretty big issues. So glad to see that he was healthy and performed a lot better than when he was on that injured ankle. But still, next is going to be Bailey Zappe, somebody who I did not expect. My first quarterback that I watched from this class. When you watch him play, yeah, he doesn't have the best arm strength. And actually, I'm pretty happy to see on here, I put that he had one of the lowest max distance on his throw. And most of the time after 40 yards, the ball just died out. It did not have much juice to it. But when you see him just put it on the money, deep shots, it's like, wow, it is incredible. And there are some throws where it's just like, holy crap. It's like Carson strong level, which we'll talk about Carson soon. You'll see why I put the weaknesses. When I put the weaknesses here, you'll see why that the grade just drops tremendously. Bottom line, if you're not a good enough athlete, there's probably a chance that you're not going to grade out too well in this NFL, which makes sense too. But when he's on the move as well, there was quite a few throws that he put right on the money. He just doesn't do it very often. That was my big problem with Bailey Zappe. He needs to be comfortable not throwing to the designated read. And it's not that he can't go through progressions. It's like when you're on a screenplay or when you're supposed to dump it off into the flat, like that's just the way you're supposed to roll. He panics a lot when it isn't there. So, I mean, that could be a progression issue, but again, there are times where he does do it. Bottom line, Bailey Zappe has a lot to like. And if you pair him with a good OC and a good QB coach, he can definitely up his game a lot. You don't throw that many touchdowns for no reason. And again, I don't care about stats. I never do. I don't give a damn. It's a good thing to support you when you look at the tape, but it's always how you do the stats. Because when you go to the NFL, stats are zero, right? There's nothing there. But seeing how you did it, that's going to translate. So another thing I have an issue, mobility. And then again, the confidence. He hesitated a lot. Just, dude, get the cojones, throw the fucking ball, and it would have been on target and it would have been right. Like you would have done even better than you did. Just, he needs to get that confidence to leave the structure and be himself. But again, I think he's going to go in the early third. It's a very weak quarterback class. Next, we got Brock Purdy. So we're going on a hot take here. Carson Strong's dropping quite a bit. But again, you'll see why. I think that Brock Purdy has some elite placement. He did something called layering. So there's a safety and a linebacker right here, and his wide receivers going in between. He has to layer the ball over the linebacker and below the safety to make it right on target. He's able to do that, which is insane. He has a very quick throwing motion, and when you see how he moves around the pocket, it's very NFL caliber. Remember, this guy last year was supposed to be the number 15 pick in the draft, right? That was like his initial ranking was number 15. Do not forget that. He has some very bad games, right? There are times where he puts the ball right on the money. Sometimes he puts it way out wide. You'll see that plenty of times. And sometimes he'll make a very bad decision. He also doesn't know how to throw the ball away, which is a bit annoying. Again, that's a tendency you can break. But I mean, again, for a mid-fourth, I would take this guy in a heartbeat. I do have him comped to Jared Goff, which honestly might be Jared Goff with a little more mobility. Just a guy who has a lot of potential without having to have the high price tag. It's a very boomer bust type pick, but it's in a position where I would feel heavily confident taking him in the third or the fourth, just saying, hey, you have some very bad issues, but these high level plays are ridiculous. And I know my boy Cam Marino on Twitter, check out the links in the description. He definitely loves Brock Purdy. He's number 3 quarterback in the class. But for me, number 6. Number 7, we finally got to Carson Strong. So this guy is a cannon for an arm, right? And there are some things that he does that are absolutely special. That being said, when you look at it, he's had 3 knee surgeries. That is why he fell really far. I cannot put a quarterback that, 1, is heavily immobile, but 2, can't stay healthy. I can't put him there. And I didn't like how he was on the move. I thought his accuracy wasn't too good on it. And then he didn't leave the structure enough for me to feel confident. But something I got to admit, I got to give Carson his kudos. Number 7 looks really bad. I still am perfectly fine taking him in the second. I still am. I have him rated as a 3rd round quarterback. And that's an early 3rd because he does things like very solid decision-making, has a good arm, and he's able to work the 2-minute drill very well. So those are all NFL caliber things. So even though the number 7 says he's the 7th guy on the list, he's definitely competing with Bailey Zappe. After 4, that list between 4 or 5 and 7, that gets very in the middle, or very undecided. You can put Carson Strong there at 5. You can put Carson Strong there at 6 or 7. I don't like the injuries and I don't like that mobility issue. Those are my issues. But when you see this guy, he has a rocket arm. He makes some incredible throws. Incredible. So I can't stress it enough. Carson Strong is an amazing quarterback. For his value, which I think he will be probably around the mid-second, this guy is going to be a very solid pick. If he falls to the 3rd, he's going to be a steal. I have him as a 3rd, again, because of the mobility and the injuries. But when you see the platform and you're in the right scheme with the right OC and the right offensive line, this guy could be a difference maker. So for all you guys commenting crap down in the comment section below, I'm coming for you because I already defended Carson Strong. Number 8, Desmond Ridder. Yeah, this guy's crap. I can't stand him. I can't. When you look at him. You love his tenacity. He does want to win, and he'll do everything to win. He can definitely run. He looks slow as hell, but then when you see, he just he's a really long strider. He like blows past people. It's like, what the hell? Like you look like you're running slow-mo. But I mean, the guy also has a cannon. He randomly had the tied worst long distance throw, but I don't think he was like throwing it as max distance. It's just not a Cincinnati thing to throw it as deep as you can. He can still throw a 60-yard deep ball, but still, he's somebody who I am extremely worried about, and I don't get the love for him. I don't. I used to be a Desmond Ridder in the middle person, right? I used to be like, you know what? He's a second round pick. He's older as well, so he's going to be a redshirt senior, or he is a redshirt senior, and he still doesn't know how to throw the ball on target. Like there's a play where it was against Notre Dame where he had 0 interceptions. The dude should have been picked off like 12 times, for one. But two, the one time he beat Kyle Hamilton, he threw the ball off target and Kyle Hamilton tracked the ball as if it were going to be on target. Okay, so it's a huge issue. I've never done like an underlining. Ball placement's horrible. You want to see the grade? That's because of that. Decision making as well. He just forces a lot of reads. And again, just that ball placement is horrible. It's just, you never see it really on target. You see maybe like 3-4 balls on target a game. It should be 3 to 4 balls really off target a game. It's like the other way around. So that's going to be Desmond Ridder right there. My comp from him is Jalen Hurts. I forgot to go about, I have NA for, I don't want to force a comp because that's not fun. So guys like the running back group right now, I'm not finding many really good comparisons for him. And then that might make it a little more boring, but I don't care. I'm not going to bullshit you guys. You guys are here for good content, not for like the most exciting BS content. I want to make good, entertaining content for you. But Jalen Hurts fits perfectly, right? Like this is rookie Jalen Hurts, somebody who he has a good enough arm. Like maybe it's going to be Jalen Hurts with a bit more of a cannon and maybe worse decision making. So you can flop those two. But somebody who has a hard time throwing on time is somebody who has pretty poor ball placement, but he has the mobility and the mentality of a leader. That's going to be a big one. And ending off at number 9, we got Kaleb Eleby. Other quarterbacks just don't have enough tape out right now for me to actually make a decision on him. Skylar Thompson would probably be my guy for quarterback 10. But, you know, those guys, again, we're going to be doing this when all 22 comes out for every quarterback. We'll see what happens. Kaleb Eleby is very interesting. I have a podcast right now, and I'm going to be doing a lot more of these prospect breakdowns on it. And just more in depth of watching them and being able to talk with you guys through the thought process. But when you look at Kaleb Eleby, he has some amazing, amazing balls right on target. Like he's incredible. He's also a redshirt junior. So I think he knew that this was a good time to come out because the quarterback class was weak. He just, when you watch him throw between the hashes, he does an amazing job. So like there was a couple of plays also, edge defender in his face, releases it, throws it right on target. And something I love. This is something that is very underrated. Matt Corral doesn't really do it, and Brock Purdy doesn't do it. Throwing the ball out of bounds. Like it's okay to reset. You don't have to be a hero every time. So I really did like the IQ right here and the accuracy. The biggest problem for me is arm strength. Like it's bad. He has a noodle arm. And again, no disrespect to Kaleb, but just when you watch it, the arm strength is very inconsistent. Many quarterbacks, like you can see Matt Corral, he's not going to throw a 67-yard deep ball every time he throws, right? You can get that juice to push it through. And that's also why I think his arm strength looks better to other people. Because I talked to Broshmo about this, but it's like when you're throwing over the middle, that distance is a lot shorter than if you're going over to, there we go. If you're going over to the side, right? If you're going at the same distance over to the side, that distance is a lot longer. Love hitting the pop filter, but another shout out to Mike Renner using freaking trigonometry to be able to justify his claims and stuff. But he is quite solid in the short range game. I do like that, but he has some very big mobility issues. Again, that arm strength is just not good enough to be a starting caliber player. And the problem is he got popped quite a few times because he couldn't sense the pressure coming off the right side. Not the left side, the right side. So that was something I had a big issue with. Kaleb Eleby, though, I mean, for a 5th round pick, which I think is where he'll go, I think he's a very solid quarterback to mold around. If you need somebody to be able to step in for a game or two and just play a very simple between the hashes game. I mean, hell, I think Caleb Eleby would be a great backup to Joe Burrow, who was phenomenal between the hashes. That's what people were like, oh, wow. Like LSU's picking apart defenses in the middle. They're not using the outsides. This guy would be a great understudy to that for a couple of years before trying to branch off and go elsewhere. So that is going to be the video, guys. Unfortunately, we don't have any more QBs. Let me know what you guys think. Obviously, I know your list is going to be different than mine, but, again, got to keep it original, got to keep it fresh, and got to keep it fun and entertaining with good reason, right? I don't want to bullshit stuff. So thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys on the far side. Peace.